My god, but I never thought I'd say this. Twitter has been transformed over the course of just the last few days. Despite Twitter's terms of service remaining in effect just like it was before Elon Musk purchased the platform, the fact that the rules are now actually being applied evenly, regardless of one's political position, has made the platform infinitely more interesting and a hell of a lot more alive as well. And the many predictions that this would kill Twitter seems to have not come true at all, as the only tangible effect of Elon swinging the axe left, right and centre at Twitter headquarters, firing Twitterees by the dozens, is that the site is now actually deleting child porn. Granted, it is a radical departure from its previous business model, yet one I think most people will actually agree with, as it turns out. But of course, the left is not most people, and so today we are going to read a delightful article from Gizmodo. All the worst Twitter policy offenders Elon Musk is giving a free rein. Oh no! Because of Elon Musk's more or less general amnesty that will only be expended upon from here on out, there are a lot of salty people who have, up until this point, pretty much simply been able to delete any and all opposition to their point of view by going screaming to Daddy Censor. And now that that cudgel has been removed from their itty-bitty hands, they're not so happy about it. And therefore, of course, they are very angry that the Twitter trust and safety team has been more or less completely crippled, with Elon himself making a lot of the decisions, and Elon's point of view apparently simply being, if you don't violate the terms of service, you get to be on the platform, simple as. And if you do, even if you have the correct opinions, you don't get to be on the platform. But this is, of course, very dangerous because, as Gizmodo says here, considering who he's been reinstating lately, that may be a very horrifying prospect. Even after the Club Q shooting in Colorado Springs that targeted members of the LGBTQ community, Musk has not stopped bringing back accounts that are part of the far-right's anti-trans narrative. Ah yes, the far-right's anti-trans narrative that caused a shooting at a gay nightclub by a non-binary person. Ah yes, a classic far-right militia member right there. The best part is, this article was written after that was common knowledge. But hey, we shouldn't expect too much of Gizmodo. They give even games journalists a bad reputation. So, the number one problematic person to have returned to Twitter, at least in spirit, is of course the Orange Man himself. The incarnation of all of Gizmodo's worst fears, Donald Trump. And Gizmodo is not at all happy in the way that the Trumphalophagus returned to Twitter. Oh no, because he returned via a clearly biased poll, you see, with nothing more than Musk's sycophants voting on the poll. Oh, that's terrible. A Twitter poll leaning one way, that's unprecedented. At the very least, it's unprecedented it leaning in the opposite direction of Gizmodo, as Twitter is, and has always been, an overwhelmingly left-leaning platform. But again, we can't expect too much from Gizmodo, now can we? But at least I can understand them being angry with Donald Trump. He is a legitimate political opposition. In fact, he is pretty much the opposition candidate. So, okay, a bit of butthurt is justifiable. But the next pick is The Babylon Bee, a satirical news site. Not to go too far into the 2016s here, but The left really does not get humour, do they? Or, as the Gizmodo author here says, the Babylon Bee is what happens when a few angry, unfunny, unempathetic right-wingers try and do the Onion-style fake journalism. None of their jokes land, for one, because they are just generally unfunny people, but mostly because they routinely punch down with mean-spirited, antagonistic opinions. Sounds fantastic. But they do have a point here. Far too often, the Babylon's Bee's jokes do not land because they turn out to not be comedy at all, but simply predicting what's going to happen in a month or two. Next up on the list is Kanye West, or Ye as he calls himself these days, or President Ye as he wants to be called in a couple of years. And hey, it would be funny if absolutely nothing else. And he was yeeted off the platform after what Gizmodo describes as a long string of overtly anti-Semitic comments. Yes, Ye did indeed talk about those people. And in so doing, he lost the overwhelming majority of his money. I am not going to comment on this matter, because if they can turn a billionaire into a millionaire overnight, I ain't gonna say shit about it. Next up is Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, which Gizmodo describes as Congress's chief envenom-laced, dumb, dry rhetoric. Marjorie Taylor Greene has regained her personal Twitter account. The tolerant left, as always, is a wonderful thing to see. She was banned from Twitter for spreading COVID misinformation. Oh, no. Now there's an actually serious thing. It's a health concern. People could die. And luckily we know exactly what is and is not misinformation. Like, for example, the lab leak theory, which is patently false. Or the idea that the COVID vaccine might affect your periods. Also pure nonsense. Or the idea that natural immunity might be more effective than the vaccine, which was also, of course, completely false. Ah, yes. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on YouTube about this just yet, so we'll keep it to the pictures, eh? Next is Andrew Tate, and I have to admit, I know next to nothing about Andrew Tate, other than he is apparently a pickup artist, and he once beat a woman with a belt. Well, I mean, that is a solid endorsement, but the idea of a pickup artist, whilst a pinch cringe perhaps, considering the sheer amount of men who are currently checking out of the dating market, and the amount of feminist websites bitching about that fact, maybe his kind of service should be encouraged rather than stigmatized, at least if any of the feminists out there want to get married at some point. Which is fitting, considering that the next man on the list, Jordan Peterson, would also like it if we restructured our society somewhat. He was cancelled for dead-naming the manliest of men, Elliot Page. I also quite like the opening here, where it starts, "Up yours, woke moralist says, the whining Canadian pseudo-intellectual Jordan Peterson." I'm pretty sure he's a professional psychologist, so a pseudo-intellectual seems a pinch harsh, and when it comes to woke moralists, considering he was banned for dead-naming someone, I think it's fair to say he was, dead on. And from one pseudo-intellectual to the other, I get to make that joke. Carl Benjamin, my friend Sargon of Akkad, who has the honor of being one of the worst individuals brought back on Twitter. Congratulations, Sargon. But I gotta say as well, all of the preceding individuals have been called some pretty nasty names, but nothing can compare to what they levied against my boy Sargon here, calling him the right-wing vlogger. And having asked the man myself what he finds more insulting, right-wing or vlogger, he answered unequivocally, vlogger. Because, frankly, we've all been called right-wing so often over the last 5 to 10 years that it's not even an insult anymore, it's a buzzing sound in the back of our heads. But vlogger, ooh, now that one still stings a bit. But it is understandable that Gizmodo would levy their heaviest of artillery against Sargon because he was banned for targeted abuse for telling a woman that he wouldn't rape her. Something the woman was so upset about, she wanted to ban him from standing for election for EU, and she called the cops on him. Which, I mean, to be fair, look at her. She has every right to be offended. Then, second to last, we have Juanita Broderick, who was banned for COVID misinformation, apparently tweeting that the COVID vaccine don't work and alter people's DNA. And hey, the DNA part might actually be a genuine case of vaccine misinformation, making it the exception that proves the rule. And finally, protect Texas kids and other anti-trans groups. All I'm going to say here is look at the sign presented in the foreground. No boys in girls' sports. A hate group, to be sure. Something else that's certain is that Twitter is a far more interesting place than it has been in a long time. So if you are one of many people out there who have been avoiding the platform due to its nasty reputation for both, what we started the video with, and its preferential treatment of certain groupings, maybe give it another look. I might even be able to stick with it this time, as it certainly has become a lot more lively after the entrance of God Emperor Elon. Until next time, I've been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.